Okay, so let us start with the new topic then. So again, we'll be continue with the function itself, but again, uh, so Minakshi, if you want the logic of Armstrong number, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to explain that. Go ahead and watch the previous session videos. If you are having doubts in the functions, then please let me know. Okay. This Armstrong logic I have explained multiple times. So yeah, definitely like you can go and watch this particular video the day before, like last session. You can just watch that particular video. Okay. So we will be talking about functions, right? Definitely we haven't finished that. We need to understand the different ways to write the function. We have seen the basic way, right, to just define the function and just call it. But there are, other stuffs involved in that. We need to understand that in detail, right? So we'll be focusing on that. Let's go ahead and do that. So, guys, let me just write down a simple function. Let me just share my screen. I believe like everyone can see my screen. Okay. So here, let us consider this function only. Like, so maybe Meenakshi will also clear her doubt. Here we have defined one simple function and we have written the logic inside that, right? This logic we have seen previously, like what temp is doing, what sum is doing, right? What we are doing here, right? What we are doing, everything we have seen in the previous class. We have just put all this code inside the function. That's it. Okay, here you can see I have defined this particular function and I have given this input to that particular function, so that this function will work on this num, and then will get this particular result, right? So here you can see the indentation of this particular function. That means all the code is inside the function itself. And this is what the definition, guys, we are writing, right? And when we execute this, there is no output we'll be getting, but definitely if we call that particular function, then we'll get the output. The given 153 number is Armstrong number, right? So you can see here, guys, like this function itself is responsible to generate the result. Okay, so let me write down one more program for you, right? Def add, for example. In that I am passing a comma b, right? And then I am writing here print a plus b. So this is what the simple function I'm having, and when I call it, how to call, guys? Simple add, and then how many outputs we are inputs where we are going to send 2 comma 3, right? So this is what it is going to give us the output, right? But you can see like function itself is responsible to print the result, right? So if I want to use this particular addition in further my code, then I'm not able to do that. I need to call that function, and then function will display the output, right? It will not store the output anywhere. Okay, so here you can see this function is responsible to just display the output. It is anyway is not going to store the output. Okay, so how we are going to store the output, right, in some variable, or maybe how we are going to keep the that particular result in a particular variable, right? That is what we are going to see, right? The next topic that we are going to talk is return statement. Okay, very important statement it is. So let us write down that same function again, def add, right? And in that I am passing a comma b, right? And then I'll be doing the addition. right? So what I'll do is C is equal to A plus B. Okay, and then I will be, return C. This is the way we are going to what we are going to write the particular function. Okay, so uh, here, like, when I execute this, guys, right, when I execute this, you can see, like, when I just call this particular function, I'm just, passing these two parameters, and then I'm executing it, I'm also getting the output. But okay, when I try to print it, when I try to print it, you can see I'll be getting only 5. But in the above example, when I try to print it, I'll be getting 2 result. I'll be getting what? 2 result here. Can you see like what is happening? Let me just execute. Let me just change the function name. This is add 1 and this is add 2. Okay. And now let's execute this. Add 1. Now you can see we are having 2 outputs, and here we are having only one output. Why this is happening, guys? Okay, so always remember, by default, okay, I'm writing here, by default function returns none. By default function returns none. Okay, so what it means? Okay, so let us consider this first scenario, guys. Right, we have called this particular function, we haven't returned any result here. Okay, we haven't, what do you mean by return then? Okay, so when we write the return statement, guys, so it will return this result where we call that particular function. So at this particular place, it will throw this particular result. So it will throw the value of C to this particular place. But in this case, we haven't written any value, guys. We haven't written any return keyword. So it is not going to throw any result. It is not going to send any result where we call the function. But okay, it will send none value, guys. Okay, let me just comment this. Let me just comment this. Okay, and let me just write it down here. Past means do nothing. Okay, when I execute this, you can see it will just say none, because I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything here, right? And I'm still calling this particular function, guys. And this function by default returns what, guys? None value. We haven't returned anything here. Okay, and still it is returning some value. Okay, simple. Okay, so instead of printing this result, let's say I'm writing C is equal to A plus B. Okay, and then instead of pass, just remove that plus, just have a logic. Okay, now you can see whenever I'm trying to execute it, it is not going to return any value, guys. It is not going to return C. Okay, so it is going to return what? None, because we are not returning anything. So by default none is getting returned. This is the simple example. Now let us check the another example, same example here. Okay, I have just changed the function name. A and B are the two parameters I'm having. A plus B is the addition will be storing in the result variable C, and then we are returning the result, guys. So here we are actually returning the value, so it is not going to return the default value. It is going to return the value that we have written here. Okay, so it is going to return this C at this particular place, and we are getting the output here. Simple. Okay, so the same program we can write, instead of directly printing the result, you can store this particular value in the result variable, guys. Okay, you can store this value in the result variable, and then you can print the result. Then you can print the result. So you can see I'm getting again 5, because so when I call this function, it will jump here. A and B will be 2 and 3 respectively. 2 plus 3 is 5. Then it will return the C, and this C will be stored in the result variable. Now, guys, just let me know, instead of this print, if I am writing a result variable, result 1 for example. Okay, result 2, and then I am printing it. Can anyone tell me what will be the result? what will be the value it is going to print? So now please check your internet connection. Maybe. Why, guys, it is going to print 5? Can anyone justify? Monica, Manish, why it is printing 5? We haven't written print statement yet, right? Or like, see, have we written anything from this particular function? We are not returning anything, right? So we are not returning anything because return statement we haven't written there, right? So what by default value it is going to return? The default value, it's none, right? And that's why it will store none in the result2 variable, and that's why it will print the none. You can see when you execute this, you'll get the output none. Though we are having addition logic, but we haven't returned C. That's why right, it has returned none. Okay, and that's why we are having this particular result with us. So by default, this function, any function will return none, guys. Okay, if we are not writing return statement, then by default every function returns none. And if we are writing return statement, that value is going to return. Okay, so here again you can just check. Here we have return C. That means we explicitly written here return statement, and what we need to return? C we need to return. So here this C will be stored in this result variable, and then we are getting the result. But in this particular function we don't have return statement. That's why it returns what? None. Got it? Okay. Yes, Mohammed Anis, like I'll be coming to that particular part, but try to understand the basics of return first. Okay, we'll be moving towards this particular topic. Let's go step by step. I believe like everyone is clear with the return now. Can you tell me by default the function returns what? Everyone throw the result in the chat. Perfect. And if we are explicitly returning the value, that particular value is going to return. All right. So next, yes, if you want to the variable value, if you are not writing return statement, then it will return none. If you are writing return and then variable, and that variable value it is going to return. Okay, can you hear me, guys? Okay, great. So let's go ahead and try to understand more about return. Okay, so let me just do one thing. For example, um, def function uh, arithmetic. Arithmetic is one of the function in that we are going to pass a comma b comma c. Okay, and then suppose result one is equal to a plus b plus c. R2 is equal to a minus b minus c. R3 is equal to a multiplied by b multiplied by c. Okay, and then Let us consider these are the operations we want to perform. Now here, how many results we are having, guys? How many results we are having? 3 results, right? So can we return multiple values using function? This is the question someone asked, right? Yes, definitely will be, returning the multiple values using Python. Okay, that all values will be stored in tuple, and then that tuple will be sent to the final output, or wherever the function we called. Understood? Yes, definitely we can return multiple values. All these values will be stored in where, guys? What will be the data type? Tuple. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So here return r1 comma r2 comma r3. This we can do. This we can do. Okay, let's call this particular function 2 comma 3 comma 1, and here I'm just storing these results. Let's say print type of result, print result. Can you see what is the return type, guys? Then tuple, right? All these values are stored in tuple. Any question, guys? If someone asks, can we return multiple values using Python? Yes, definitely we can do that. Okay, but that all values will be in the form of tuple. So function can return multiple values. What, Ravi? It returns everything, every value. You are saying only R2 value it is returning? So here we are having 3 operations. We have 3 different results. So function can return all these results together. R1, R2, R3. In other programming languages, guys, we are able to only return only one value, but in Python we can return multiple values. All these values will be stored in tuple, and then it will throw wherever the function is called. So these all 3 values will be stored in the result variable. I have checked the type of that result variable, and you can see the type of that result variable is tuple, and I have checked the result also. You can see all these result. I believe all these results are correct. Ravi, in your case only R2 is returning, then please check your code. Then only write return R2. Okay. Then only write return R2. Or even you can take that from the tuple also, right? By using indexing something. Or there may be another, approach we can follow. Another approach we can follow. Let me just write down the another approach. So we know like how many values we are going to pass, in this case 3. So instead of this result, we can have R1 comma R, or maybe A comma B comma C. We can have this also, and then we can print A, print B, print C. Can you see the result? This is also the way we can store all these results. Getting? Okay, any question guys in this? Do you want me to repeat this? If you have any question, then please let me know. Sena, do you want me to repeat this? Okay. So here, what we are talking about is returning the value, right? How many values we can return at the same time. So I am having three operations here. Okay, R1, R2, and R3. These are the three operations I'm having. So all these expression will store the result in R1, R2, and R3 respectively. Now we are having three results. We can return all these three values at the same time using return statement. All these values will be stored in the result variable in the form of tuple. This is the one approach we are going to follow. Okay, and if you want to access the result, you can use tuple properties and access the result. Another approach is like we know like how many values the function is going to return, and that's why we can define the three variables because we are returning three results, so we need a three variables to store all these results, right? So we'll be defining these three variables a comma b comma c, and then you can see like we can print all these results separately. These are the two approaches we can follow, right? You're getting, Sina? Great. Any other question? Which six you are asking? First function is what? What is our first function? A plus b plus c. 2 plus 3 plus 1 is what? 6, right? Then what you are not getting here? What, which 6 you are asking? Yeah, that is R1, right? And that R1 will be stored in A because A is the first variable. We are printing A, right? Then R2 will be stored in B. Then R3 will be stored in C. Yes, Manish, we can pass whole list as a parameter, and then in function you have to deal with the list. We can pass, any data structure. Okay, now tell me in this case, in these cases, which are the formal parameter? R1, R2, R3 are the formal parameters, or ABC are the formal parameters. It's ABC. Okay. and A, B, C, R1, R2, R3, these are all local parameters. Pranav, please execute the arithmetic function first and then try to call it. Execute the cell where you have written arithmetic. If you are executed, then check the spellings. Okay. Okay, great. Any other question? All right, I think we can go ahead and check with the other topic. So someone asked me, right, can we pass, like Manish itself asked me, can we pass the list as a parameter? Definitely we can pass the list as a parameter. So there are different types of parameters we can pass, guys. Okay, try to understand, this is very, very important. Okay, let me just share my screen again. uh, I hope you all can see my screen, uh, and you can see the notepad also, right? Okay, now there are four types of parameters. First one is positional argument, second one is keyword argument, third one is default argument, the next one is variable length argument. Okay, so have you gone through all these types of parameters, guys, in the last class session? Just confirm. Okay, so these are the four types of parameters we're having. Okay, so whatever the parameter list we have seen till now is your positional arguments. Okay, where the sequence matters a lot. Let's talk about positional argument. Okay, so let me just define a simple function and call it. Okay, so here, right, so can you see here, guys, which are the parameters I'm passing? Like 2 and 3 are the parameters, right? So can you tell me, suppose I'm writing print, can you see the results are different? Results are different. Why it is, guys? Can anyone tell me why it is? Why the results are different? Yes. Subtraction I have written. A and B are the two parameters. This 2 will be assigned to A and 3 will be assigned to B. Okay. And here you can see, the function we have written. We have just interchanged the sequence of the argument, guys. So you can see the results is changing, right? That means the position of the argument matters a lot. Are you agree with this? Position of A and B, position of 2 and 3 matters a lot here, because sequentially we are going to assign the value. 2 will be assigned to A, 3 will be assigned to B, right? Again we are doing A minus B. That's why the sequence of parameter is very important, and that's why these arguments are called positional argument. Position of a particular argument matters a lot. That's why it is called positional argument. Understood? So Sayed, we haven't, printed the result. Can you see here print statement? In subtraction, we have written print, Sayed. And that's why we are getting the result on the screen, right? It will call that function, it will print the result. That's it. But when we print, when we call that function inside the print, then that function's default value is also going to print. Are you getting it? And at that time, we'll get none also. Let me show it to you that. Okay, so we have a, let's see, I'm writing this in the print statement. Okay, you can see now these two outputs are of first function. So let me just go ahead here. It will go up, it will call the function, it will go up, it will print the result, right? The result will be -1. Again, it will try to come back where the function called, and by default it will carry what? None result, and that's why it will print. Due to this print, it is printing none. Understood? Great. So and such kind of parameters, guys, where position matters a lot, is called positional argument. So what are the parameter we have seen till now? These all are the positional argument. Okay. All right. So let me just go ahead and open the notebook again. Here, if you see, I'm having another function def greet. Okay, I'm having name and message. I'm printing name and message again. When I call the function, I'm giving IT Vedant as a name, good evening as a message. So while printing the result, it will print IT Vedant good evening. But when we change the argument, guys, when we write good evening first and IT Vedant last, then it will print like good evening IT Vedant. So the result is different, right? That's why positional argument matters. The position of the argument matters a lot. Okay, such kind of parameters are called positional argument. So here, the second type of argument is keyword based argument. The name itself indicates we'll be having keyword for every parameter, guys. Okay, let's understand that very with the help of simple example. Can you see here def greet function is there, right? And I am writing these two parameters, name and message. Okay, so print name and message, it is going to print on the screen. So while calling this particular function, guys, see, I have written the variable name here. That means that this name, I'm actually pointing out, assign this value to this particular variable. This name will act as a key, and this particular value will be there, and that's why it is called keyword based argument. You can see for message, I am explicitly mentioning here, assign this good evening to message variable. Okay, so anyway, like if you change the position of the argument, that doesn't matter at all, because we are explicitly mentioning this message will go in which variable, guys? This variable. This message will go in which variable, guys? Name. So if we interchange the value, then also will not have a different result. Let me show it to you quickly. Okay, so you can see, let me execute it. Can you see, like, the the results are different, though our parameters position is different, because we are explicitly mentioning this is what the parameter is, and for that particular parameter this is what the value is. Any question in the keyword based argument? Do you have any question? Very simple, right? Okay, now there is a simple rule, guys. Let me tell you that rule. Okay, now this is what the message we are having. let us consider like I am passing this message. Now I'm not mentioning any variable guys here. Okay, but here I am mentioning the variable. So let me just cut it down. Let me put it here. Okay, for this it will work fine. But for this, see the result. Can you see? It is saying got multiple values for argument name. What is happening guys here? What is happening? Anyone? What is happening? Why this error is there? Why this error is there? Because when we call this particular function, okay, we don't have any key, so it will look for first parameter, right? It will go up and it will store this good evening in the name variable. Again it will go to the next parameter, again it appears name here, so it will go and then try to assign this particular value to the name variable, but already for name there is one value. That's why it is saying what we are having multiple values for name variable. So can we do like this then? And it works guys now. Let me just keep this as it is for your reference and let me add this. Now instead of name, can we have MSG? Will it work now? Okay. So let me just execute it. Can you see now it is working fine? Okay. Now I hope now you understood, like this will first look for the first variable and then it will go for the next variable. Okay. Let me just add one more thing. Here you will learn one more rule guys. Now let me cut it down. Let me write it down after this. Will it work guys? Can anyone tell me, will it work? Now we are explicitly saying, right? Message, go ahead and give that this value to the message, and remaining one will be good evening, right? Will it work? See, like what is the rule, guys? Now, very simple rule. Very simple rule. Positional argument follows keyword argument. So always remember, we cannot write positional argument after keyword argument. We cannot write positional argument. Which one is the positional argument, guys? Can anyone tell me in this particular example? In this example, which one is the positional argument? Good evening will be your positional argument, right? So here, write it down. We cannot write positional argument after keyword argument. After keyword argument. Okay, so there are two rules. We cannot assign multiple values to one parameter, and we cannot write positional argument after keyword argument. Always remember and always follow this rule. Okay, so whenever you go for a global certification guys, in that certification you will have such kind of MCQs. Okay, you have to find out the if the code is correct or wrong. Most of the time these questions will be asked. Okay, so always try to understand this, what is happening. Okay, any question in this keyword based argument? and positional argument. Done, Arti? Which rule? Like this one got multiple arguments. I cannot. I'm not talking right now, guys. I'm just waiting for your questions in the chat. I have asked, like, do you have any questions? No questions? Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, guys, due to some technical problem, there is I have shared screen. Let me just check. Is it, can you hear me now? Okay. So, and I hope you can see my screen also. Tell me now, is it visible? Okay. So the next point is default argument. Okay. So we have seen keyword base. Now let's understand default one. And the name itself indicates like it is having some default values to the parameters. If you just check one function I have written here, greet, name is guest and message is hello. You can see in the function itself I have given some value to the variable, right? I have given some values to the variable. So name guest is the default value, message hello is the default value, right? Let me just call this function. So here you see, like, can you tell me greet function takes how many arguments? Greet function takes how many arguments? Two arguments, right? And here I am passing nothing, guys. While calling the function I am passing nothing. So let's see like how it works. Okay, let's see like how it works. Can you see like what it has given result? Guest hello. So how it works? Suppose I am passing nothing. That means if we go and check the function, we haven't passed any values. So for name it will take guest and for message it will take hello. Okay. Now let me just write it down again. I'm passing here, Amit. I'm passing only one parameter, guys. So in which variable Amit will be assigned, guys? Name, right? So now let's see how it works. Can you see Amit hello? So instead of guest now, it has taken Amit and then the next is hello. Understood? So if we are passing value, then that is okay. But if you are not passing any value, then it will take the default values. Understood, guys? Very simple, right? So let me just tell you one more thing. For example, MSG is equal to Amit. Okay. So you can see here, sorry, guest Amit, right? So this is your keyword based argument. And then for message, it has assigned Amit. And now I haven't passed anything to name. That's why the default value for name will be guest. I believe now everyone is getting this. Perfect. Okay, so this is called the default parameter, guys. Okay, so let me just, tell you the next parameter type, that is variable length argument. Very simple it is. Variable length argument. Okay, so variable length argument means any number of variables we can pass to the function. Okay, till now we have seen four parameters compulsory, three parameters, two parameters, we know that, right? How many parameters user is going to pass. But in most of the scenario, if we are working with the dynamic environment, guys, we never know like how many parameters a particular function accepts, right? Or how many parameters a particular function expect. Okay, or maybe like how many values will be generated and we'll throw that values to the function. We never know that. The count of the parameter we never know. Okay, in that case we'll be using variable length argument. So you can see a star operator we are going to use for variable length uh, argument. Okay, so here let us try to execute a particular wave this example. Now so here how many parameters I have passed? How many parameters I have passed? Only one. Let's see how it works. Sorry, let me execute this function first. So it will just go up. It will take this one. It will store this in n. Now star means what? Multiple values for n. As it contains multiple values, all these value will be stored in tuple, guys. So n will be tuple here. So to check this, I have checked the type of n. You can see it is tuple. So this one will be stored in tuple, and now I'm printing n is the tuple, right? So I'm printing the value of tuple here using for loop. Simple. Let me just print. Let me just give the two values. Okay, you can see now it also works. Can you see? These 1 and 2 will be stored in n. That n will be your tuple, and that's why we are printing the values of tuple using for loop. Okay. Now suppose I am giving 1 comma. Let me just paste it here. Let me just copy this. Okay. 3 comma 4. Okay, now you can see I'm passing dynamic values, guys. First time 2, second time 3, 4, 5. Like there is no such a fixed count. Like we are going to pass the parameters. You can see in the first go our function runs successfully. It has 2 values. In then next one it has 3 values. It has 4 values, right? Even you can apply the another logic also. Like if I want the sum of all these parameters, right? So you just define one simple sum variable here. This is just a logic, guys. Okay, and then print, instead of print, like you're writing sum is equal to sum plus I, right? And then print this sum outside the for loop. You can see now. Okay, for first function it has sum of this 1 and 2 and the result is 3. Okay, in the second function again summation 3 6, next function and the next function. So here these are the variable length argument, guys. Okay, any question in this? So Mahesh, like sometime it happens, right? Like we don't know how many arguments will be passing to the function. So function should be able to execute if we have variable length argument. First time, suppose let us consider like I want to calculate the average age of a particular, college student, for example. So we never know, like in the first year, how many students are there, in second year, how many students are there, right? In third year, how many students are there. So for that, like in first year, we are having only 5 students. So it will calculate the average for 5 students. Again, if we go to the next class, if we have 100 students, then also our function is able to, perform the average. Are you getting it? But if you don't have, such kind of capabilities, then we must, pass the, suppose our function is able to handle 5 arguments, right? Then we are able to only take the average of 5 students, right? We are not able to take the average of 100 students. We need to add another, 95 variables to do that. Are you getting it? That is very hectic. So once, when we have, like, we don't know how many arguments will be there, the function is going to handle, in that case we'll be using this kind of functions or this kind of arguments. So guys, this is just a logic. Try to understand this. Star n means any number of arguments it will store. Okay. Yeah, Mahesh, like, try to understand star n only. Star n contains the past values, right? Suppose consider these are 5 values I have passed. That all values will be stored in star n. That means n. Then you can do anything with n. Yes, Manish, it is not a list, it is tuple. Star means any number of argument will be stored in n. Okay. Any other question? Same number of arguments or same number? Yes, we can pass. These are the anyway like arguments, right? This will be stored in tuple. You can see 10. We can pass. This will be our one input. Okay. Any other question? Yes, Moin, like we can pass any type of parameter. It's up to you, like what you have to do with that particular parameter, right? Here I just want to add to some integers. That's why I'm passing some integers. If you want to add to complex numbers, you can pass those complex numbers, right? No issue with the type of argument. It's just the way of writing the argument. Moin. Perfect. Okay. Any other question? All right. So let me. Okay. Usha is saying. So n and I will be your variable, guys. You can use anything. N and I is your variable. That is just to hold the values. Usha. Okay, you know, like for loop, right, Usha? In that we use the variable that is I. You can take any parameter, any value. Instead of I, you can take your name. Instead of n, also you can take any name. Okay. Now, tell me what is this? And suppose F1, tell me what will be the result. Yes. Okay, so first parameter is what? Star S. That means it will hold multiple values. And N1 is what, guys? What is N1? What type of parameter it is? What type of parameter N1 is? It's a positional argument, right? It's a positional argument, right? And star S is what? The variable length argument. So first 10 and 20 will go in star S and rest 30 will go in N1. Okay, just execute this and see what is the result. Okay. Yeah, so here it is not able to understand, guys. Yeah, it is not able to understand what, how many parameters we should take for variable length and how many parameters we should take for n1, or which parameter we should take for n1. So what it is doing, it will take all these values and will store in star S, and then there is no value for n1, guys. There is no value for n1. That's why it is saying what? One parameter is missing, that is n1, because n contains now 10, 20, 30. You can add another numbers also, and then again you can see the same error because all these four values will be assigned to star S and there is no value for n1. Got it? So what we need to do is, let me just write it down here. Error because it will assign all values to S and there is no value for n1. Okay. Now let me just do this thing. Can you see now the result? The first parameter will be in N1 and rest all parameters will be in S. Rest all parameter will be in S. Understood, guys? What is happening? Mahesh, like, please execute that function first, def function. Execute that line, def function, and then you'll get the result. There is again indentation error, check that. Spacing matters a lot. So for N1, it will take 10, and for star S, it will take all these values. Okay. Any question in this? All right. Now let me just give one case study to you. This is what my function is. This is what my function is. Now I'm writing the question, guys. Just tell me the answer, okay? Tell me the answer for this. Write in the chat. Yes, Maksud, like we can write this also. But we can write like this. Okay, 3248. Let us execute 3248. Okay. The next question is this one. Tell me what is the result. Obina, yes, that is not a multiplication sign. It's an asterisk mark. Okay. It's an asterisk mark that tells us multiple values n will store. Obina. Yeah. Yes, same result will get. Now tell me the result. Tell me the result. Manish is saying error. Yeah, 25, 50, 400. Right. Next one. Tell me the result. Check the result. Now tell me the result. It will be error. because A and B is missing. Right. Now this one. Okay. Now tell me. Okay. It will give an error, guys. Check why. For A and B, we are assigning what? For A and B, we are assigning two values, right? Okay. We learn this, and that is what I am giving. Tell me this. Perfect, Shweta. Will give an error. Again, yes. Last thing. Tell me for this. Error? No error. Okay. Execute it and you will find an error. Unexpected argument E. We don't have E, right, in function. We are passing E there. All right, yeah. I hope you understood all these types of functions and the arguments, right? Okay. So let me just upload this file here. In the next class, guys, we are going to talk about lambda functions, filter, map, garbage collection, and list comprehension. Okay. I have shared the file, guys, here in the chat. You can check that, right? Let me just paste it here as well. I have. This is a notebook again. You can have. Yes, Manish, I'm going to teach that too. Don't worry. Okay. So let me just share my screen again. We haven't learned, Manish, that topic, global parameters. We know what is local is. Now, I hope you all can see my screen, this Jupyter notebook. Okay. So let me just talk about global and local variables. So yesterday itself we learned this local variable. Let's talk about global now. Okay. So uh, can you see here a simple function a is equal to 10, which is outside the function? That will be our global variable, guys. That can be useful in anywhere in the program, anywhere in the file. Okay, but the variable you can see here, like I have printed that result, right, a inside the function, because it is a global. We can use this a anywhere in the file. This variable we called it as global variable. Global variables which are, you know, available outside the function as well and inside the function also. Okay, this is called a global variable. Right, now let's talk about the local variable. Okay, so here you can see a is equal to 10. What this function is, guys? Can anyone tell me in the chat? A is equal to 10. What is this function is it a local or global? It's a global. Okay, because it is outside the function. But I have written a is equal to 999. What this variable is? It's a local. It's a local. Yesterday itself we learned, right? It's a local variable. Simple. Okay, the local variable is not accessible outside the function, which is applicable inside the function itself. Okay, but global variable is available everywhere. Okay, this is what the local and global is. We can define the global variable using global keyword also. Here we have done that. Okay, global a. So this a will become now global. Now can you tell me what is this a is equal to 999 is? What kind of variable? It's not a local now, guys. It's a global now, because you can see I have declared a as what global. That's why this a becomes now a global variable. Now tell me about b, guys. What is b? It's a local variable. So the scope of the local variable is inside that function only, which cannot be accessible outside the function. But the scope of the global variable is available throughout the file, accessible throughout the file. Understood? Yeah. Okay. Uh, Global is not a function, it's a keyword, Mohammed. Okay. That is used to define the global variable. That's it. When we talk about function, no, then it have that opening and closing parenthesis. Okay. How to print the global variable inside the function? You just write down that print a. So we have seen that, right? You can see here I have defined here itself a is equal to 10 is what our global variable. We have printed that inside the function, right? And there is no error, Mahesh. Okay. And you have to take care. If you want to use a as a local also and global also, then you have to take care of that. You supposed to, distinguish the variable. Okay. So you cannot declare a as a global and a as a local and both are using in the same function. Just avoid that. We'll be talking about this local and global variable definitely in object oriented programming, guys. Okay, so no worries, just try to understand the scope. Local variables are accessible inside the function and global variables are accessible anywhere in the program. Okay, any question in this? All right then, maybe we can stop here today as I'm having some internet connectivity issue, guys. I have connected through my phone, so maybe the internet will be exhausted in between classes. So sorry for this inconvenience, but we'll meet tomorrow in the next class. Okay, we'll continue with the topics, right? Again, we'll continue with the functions, but some inbuilt functions like filter, map, reduce, list comprehensions, and everything, right? Yeah, inside the function, Monica, you have to define that. But if you're not writing inside, then there is no need. Yeah, Hobina, like today we discuss about, you know, starting from the function, how to define the function, then how to use return statement, where to use return statement, okay, and then we started with the different types of arguments. So like we have the positional argument, keyword argument, right, default argument, and variable length argument. These are the topics we covered today, and we also covered the types of, or we can say the types of variable, that is global and local variable. Okay, so Mahesh, it's not an error of local and global, it's completely the error of your indentation. Check your spacing. Okay, the spacing is not correct, that's why it is like an indentation error. But definitely we'll be learning more about the global and global in object oriented programming. Okay, no worries, we are not going to leave any single topic, guys, that you are not understanding. Definitely we'll be taking everything. Okay, thank you so much, guys. See you in the next class. Please download the file from the chat, guys. I will be uploading that on the portal also, but it will take time, maybe tomorrow. uh, but for today you can just download it from. Thank you, Rima. Have a good weekend again, a weekday.